Nobody wants to be poor, but everybody has the opportunity. There's so many men that don't want to be poor that have not done 100% of everything they can to change their circumstances, and that I know true. Most of the issues with most men is mental engineering, the way you design, the way you think. And so many people are comfort corrupt in their old ways that they're not willing to learn and change and do something new. And ain't nobody supposed to feel sorry for them. If you are alive today, if you listening to this today, you can make a decision right now. Man, I'm about to start a new routine. I'm about to get up and start doing my push-ups. Then I'm gonna go stop, and then I'm gonna learn something every day. And I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna create a plan, and I'm gonna create a new vision to become a new man, which means I'm gonna become a new mind, which means I'm gonna change the way I think, which changes your actions. You understand me? Yeah, young niggas now. I'm not talking about young niggas, first of all. Somebody say young niggas now. Listen, I'm not talking about them. I say young, old, original guys and young guys. I'm not talking about nigga culture. We know nigga culture is ignorant and selfish. So anything dealing with niggas is supposed to be ignorant and selfish. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about those who don't consider themselves to be. And when they see somebody doing something constructive, positive, or productive, which is not nigga, then they have a responsibility to help and assist.
You having a real conversation. I mean, as always. And let us do highlight that even in nigga culture is being specified to them that they pass torches. And in Atlanta in particular, they have spotlighted this culture because they're torch passers. There's gatekeepers here, but in the hip hop Atlanta community, they say that they have a very fruitful relationship with the OGs because they passed the torch and at least they pointed the way. And there's an understanding that there's a continuum to the job that's being done to get the city lit and get the respect. So when it comes to, let's say, the realm that we operate in, it's a different dynamic, you know what I'm saying, as you can see and as you can attest, because I don't think initially the respect or the acknowledgement, right? Acknowledgement is a big thing, and the lack of acknowledgement will make somebody very sour to their predecessors, you know what I'm saying, to people that are coming after them. They like, nah, I'm not finished here. It's like, nigga, your run is up. Like, you
Right.
gotta, you feel me? You have to impanel somebody else to complete the job that you have not done. And there's power in that. But we would never taught that as a community because a celebrity is identity driven, is individualistic, and everybody lost sight of the mission. And the mission is supposed to be bigger than the individual. But social media has told you that you got to build a brand, you got to be an individual, you feel me? And it's all about you. And that ideology, for whatever reason, has also seeped into, liberation, if you will, into consciousness. You feel me? And I mean, I can identify where it started at, but I ain't gonna do that on this live. But
No, we appreciate brothers like yourself and individuals that do it. And that's what I was trying to tell people. I'm not talking about everybody was in the comments like I am talking about the individuals that they know, but I'm talking about the culture as a whole. And all the time, all the time that I'm speaking, not most of the time, I'm always speaking about the whole being of it, the holistic aspect of it. I'm never talking about, yo, you got an old man down the street that's giving you some game. I'm not talking about that. Y'all know I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what we call this industry, right? And there are multiple industries, but the culture of the way we create industries is a gatekeeper culture. It's not a patch torch, a torch passer culture, right? So I was explaining this like, you know, sometimes you can have the excuse, well, nobody know who you are. And this is what, and I want to put that out there because I don't want the young cats to get, if you have this expectation of understanding culture already, then you don't have an expectation, right, of things that won't happen, right? When I look at the position that I'm in now and, culture, And I explain, culture is just a part of ethnicity, right? And this is something that I talked about too, Blue, the other day, is people don't understand the difference between race and ethnicity because we talk about our race as if it's our ethnicity, right? Because there are so many people that is within the African race, the Asiatic race, the so-called black race, right? Um, our Native American race, but we all have different ethnicities, right? So we have different ethnic backgrounds. Our language, our religion, our customs, our beliefs are all different. So when they say diversity is the biggest trick on the planet Earth because they say, well, we're doing this for black men or we're doing this for black people, but there's only a certain subset of the black race who has a particular ethnicity, right? That you often see in positions. This is the reality. So they're not saying the whole, we're saying that you have qualifying factors. You can be black, but you have to fit in this ethnic background in order for us to consider you. So
Right.
I know that my ethnic background, because we got to remember, ethnicity deals with religion, language, customs, beliefs, and geographical location. So I know from my ethnic background, you can't show me probably not one, at least not five, that have been given opportunities by the status quo whatsoever. None. Because they're not talking about me. They damn near not talking about you that's listening to me because they know that you are that power structure. You are the young guys that consider yourself to be a god. You can't be walking around that you a god and they only give opportunities to niggas. Come on now. You can't say you a god. They only giving opportunities to soy boys. That's why you don't see yourself in movies. You're not getting the contracts. They're not giving you the awards, right? The
Well,
OG's not
yeah,
calling you. They're afraid of that breed.
it's now, as we can see with the media, it's not only the lines that divide according to ethnicity, it's also ideology, right?
Yeah. Hold
And
up. I was looking at the definition of ethnicity, and in ethnicity, it comes under ideology, though.
mm,
This is why I'm saying that the word ethnicity is so important because when they doing the ethnic cleansing in the black community, and
mm,
we don't realize it,
mm,
right? So if you have that particular ideology, that language, that belief, that custom from that background, they can ethnically cleanse you while making it seem like they're for you, for the black nation, but they talking about your race,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But there's
yeah,
certain people that have ethnic backgrounds in that race that they want to
yes,
cleanse.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. There is, and I spoke to you in private about this. I think I'm going to bring it into the public discussion because the evidence is there. We can step back because perspective is amazing. Once you let them play their hand and then you put the perspective on top of it, then you can step back and people can see it for what it is. So there has been a divergence of two lanes that have existed in this quote unquote ethnicity from the 60s and the 50s, maybe even from prior to that. And we know that Elijah represented one aspect of this ethnicity, right? That understood the direction that we was taking, right? Do for self, separatism, you know what I'm saying? Black man is God. There's another divergent road in this particular ethnicity that might be more so identified with civil rights and the approach that they took. You know, the people who are for marching and voting and getting their redress through going along to get along, right? Those people are entrenched in politics, you know what I'm saying, and things that make them tethered to this particular system. So they don't really want to see the fall of America, right? They want a position at the table, right? The way that they see that they're able to leverage their relationship and continue their ethnicity is they don't want to rattle the cage necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
The latest iteration of that particular dichotomy is what we're seeing today. So you have consciousness and then you have woke culture, right? And we can
Mm-hmm.
clearly see from the evidence that has been presented before us, you know, even though they consider wokeism a geopolitical term, a global geopolitical term that is determining the outcome of elections, you feel me? And they're even focusing on it now, right here in quote unquote in the US with the midterms coming up. But that is a yes, that particular ethnic tool, you know, does not want to see the continuation or the success of what we would consider to be quote unquote consciousness, which deals more so with prophetic revelations, right? For all of them, you know, we see where this thing is going. We're saying that in order to, you know, secure what it is that we need for the continuation of our ethnicity, understanding our ideology, you know, something has to go for something to stay. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just a political referendum that chooses that. There has to be something a little bit more drastic because it goes a little bit deeper, and we're willing to, you know, investigate and go to those depths of where it goes. When those conversations happen in public, as we can see, they're very uncomfortable, and then all of the deflection starts.
That's right. See, they trying to shine up turds, and we know that that shit ain't good. That's all they trying to do. Politics is a shiny turd. You understand me? And it ain't worth nothing. And so we, from our ethnicity, because you got to look at ancestral lines and backgrounds, right? And this is important for us to understand, right? You got those who come from the houses of W.D.E. Du Bois or Thurgood Marshall or Marcus Garvey or Elijah Muhammad, right? So these lines background says some believe that the best thing to do is completely work without the system, to do for self. Some believe, you know, that you have to work within the system. That's the best way that we're going to get these things done. Some believe that, well, you have to work within the system and do some things outside the system. You understand me? And some are in complete opposition to the system that itself and believe that this thing has to fall in order for us to build. Right? And so there's these different ancestral lines that particularly create ethnicity and ideology, right? That is now spread across America. And number one, we haven't learned how to, of course, you have to understand that cleanliness and the spot can't stay in the same place, meaning that you can't have, you know, cover up, right? And then want things to be clean at the same time. Because most people try to clean on top of the spot instead of completely get rid of it. And so what I'm saying is the fact that it's an unfortunate reality that we all think about freedom in different ways and the way that we're going to go about getting it. And we have no respect for each other's ways because for the most part, we've seen one way have the most tremendous scale of support, right? And that's the way of working within the system, right? We know that the marching and the shouting and the hooting, the hollering, all of that, and the voting, that has been getting the most support. We know that, large scale. Now, the ancestral lines of Marcus Garvey and Honorable Elijah Muhammad haven't gotten the same level of support to even see if that would be the most efficient way to go about getting our freedom, right? We've had black presidents, we've had black Supreme Court judges, black governors, black people in all positions, but yet we have not seen the Thurgood Marshall, the W.D.E. Du Bois way work. So now what they try to do is, okay, well, what J. Edgar Hoover didn't want to have happen, he didn't want a certain ethnic leadership ever to rise up in power. Right. It ain't that I don't just want no black person. I don't want this certain ethnic. And he described that ethnic.
Yes, yes.
You understand me?
Very, very descriptive about that branch of ethnicity that they not with, right? And they like, y'all get out the way because we're not finna let this come through. We have to kill this seed because we know that this represents disruption. So what does that look like? That's somebody who's willing to turn the table over, not have a seat at the table. There's a difference. You
That's a
feel me?
fact.
There's a difference.
We got some legends
So
in the building. Shout out
yes,
to Red Pill and Shaka Bar.
shock as well. You know. So that's like where it all comes down to. And I made a statement the other day. It was somewhat controversial, because we have to, again, when we're having these conversations, we have to keep in mind that everyone does not have the same level of consciousness, and they
Mm-hmm.
don't subscribe to the same ideology. So I said that I say, Jesus or Ye had a Jesus moment. And people took offense to that, understandably so. And I said, comparatively, if we're looking at this individual story as a narrative, right? Let's go to the story of Jesus, just as a story, whether it was real or not. The fact that we read it and we understood it for what it is, I'll give the interpretation. There was somebody from a particular ethnicity that didn't rock with other people in his ethnic group. You know what I'm saying? And he turned up on them. And he's like, yo, y'all is over there hoeing for these people over here who got the thumb on our people, but the people that he was turning up on was getting benefits and receiving, you know what I'm saying, all of these things. And they like, nah, yo, you know what I'm saying? You got to be quiet. We got to silence you. We got to
That's a
censor you.
fact.
And ultimately, we're going to have to take your life. They ran to the people that he was talking about, and they was like, yo, this dude is causing mad problems. We need to pull the plug on him. And they was like, all right, with the permission, you feel me? They went and got it done. Those same people are still theoretically in position right now, hand in hand. So he had a situation where he went and he flipped the table over. That's what we saw Ye do. He flipped the table over and he said, what? I'm not being held back by the trappings of what the ideology subscribes to, because the ideology that the ethnicity that he's going against subscribes to is that cash rules everything around me, right? Their allegiance can be bought.
That's a
Their
fact.
silence can be bought. I mean, it's what they're showing you. It's not even what I'm saying.
No, it's
If you need an
obvious.
interpretation, let me explain to people what they're looking at.
Listen, here's another thing about this, because I
Yeah.
think I said this to my son in his comments yesterday, that George Floyd was a catalyst for white guilt, right? It created white guilt to be at an all-time high. It was the greatest, biggest catalyst that we've ever seen in the history. We're talking about corporate white guilt. You understand me? Where they start shelling out dollars and enacting policies based upon not wanting to be seen as racists,
Remember,
right? And purveyors of white supremacy. So now Kanye West is, and what I was telling them, because y'all may not think that Kanye is the best messenger, but he's actually the perfect messenger for it because of his position and him being a billionaire, right? Which means that he's got everything that he can possibly get out of this at the height of what people want from the industry. He's
what
got
they're,
billions
yeah,
of dollars.
what they're
So,
bending for, he already has it.
but the last point of that, Blue, is just the fact that there's never been a catalyst for Jewish guilt, right? So we've seen white guilt play out on a large scale, right? But we've never talked about, and this is because this is so important because it's current, that the current culture, right, is now existing in this space where the most valuable thing that we have is our culture, our intellectual property, right? And we've been handed terrible contracts, taken advantage of, and consistently taken advantage of, right? And rappers have been complaining about this for decades without saying direct names. And there's never been a catalyst for change in an industry whatsoever. So there's never been an opportunity for Jewish guilt to skyrocket. And when I say Jewish guilt, I'm talking about the owners of these corporations. So that has to happen. So however it happens, the same way as George Floyd, if y'all accept him to be a good catalyst as a sacrifice of death to die, for white guilt, right, to skyrocket, then how can you not accept Kanye West's, right, communication, what you want to call rant, what you want to call a breakdown, whatever you want to call it, as not a proper context for a catalyst? I'm just saying.
Yeah. And all catalysts require sacrifice. So we saw this individual, he crawled on the cross literally and put the nail in, right? And said that I'm willing to sacrifice this vessel so this conversation can have enough, I say on it that it never goes away, even after I'm gone. And they're attempting to bury that. You know what I'm saying? He put it all on the table, even if he did it in his pain body. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
And I want to say so because I see the comments about Diddy. I'm gonna have to restart the live. Diddy is not the one who cut off the show. He actually was the one who greenlighted it and say, put it on after watching it. You understand me? He's not the one that say cut it off. You mean that the man watched the whole show, still decided to put up there, and Noriega decided to take it down. So I got to give Diddy his props for allowing that to take place. So you got to understand, Revolt is the only platform that is out there that is right now what's considered to be a prominent platform that would even allow these type of conversations to take place. So we got to be careful when we only got like 1 or 2 platforms and we automatically make them the enemy. So you have to be careful of that as well, because you could be going against the very operation that we need that can help create catalysts for change. And I notice that sometimes because we just, I think when we get our consciousness turns into destruction mode. Anybody in my way getting bulldozed. But you got to understand the nuance of what happens behind the scenes to even appreciate what you see in the front of the scenes, because you don't get those conversations if they're not green lighted.